Track Talk was created to, like, we want to have like an open community. Like, we want people to feel like it's okay to come here and say, like, you got into Formula One because of Drive to Survive. For me, it was more about like the optics of like I'm starting a podcast and how embarrassing I felt like that was going to be to tell people. Until me put your full confidence into it, it doesn't get good. The moment that like really pulled me in was there was a pit stop for Joseph Newgarden, and during the pit stop, I noticed one of the mechanics had a ponytail, and I was like, shut up, there's a female pit crew mechanic. And then from there I was like, I want to know who she is, I want to talk to her, I want to be her friend, she's so cool. There is a big community of females that are looking for to be educated, to be validated, to be able to feel like they're part of something, and we're here and we're welcoming, and we all do different things, and everyone's got their niche and everyone has their place. And I think that was something I learned this past year, was like, yes, we may be one of however many female-led Formula One podcasts, but we have our niche and we belong in this space.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tool for Eyes podcast, aka the #1 podcast in Winnipeg, where we document the rise and stardom of Winnipeg's talent and personalities. Today, we sit down with the girls from the Track Talk pod, Emma and Hannah, to talk about the world of Formula racing, IndyCar, and motorsport as a whole. Also, what it's like to be a female in the male-dominated sport. As always, if you gain any piece of value from this, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Enjoy. Hannah, do you remember the first episode that you recorded?
Yes.
Do you remember the story behind that and how that came about? Were you nervous before? How are you feeling?
Yes. So I was nervous, but it was less about my knowledge, because I think both of us are like, when we are into something, we're into it. We're going to hyperfixate. We're going to learn everything. And we knew our stuff. We knew that. But for me, it was more about the optics of I'm starting a podcast.
Yeah.
And how embarrassing I felt like that was going to be to tell people. And my parents are pretty traditional in that they're like, go to school, get your degree, that's where your focus should be. And I hid it from them for a long time. I would say, oh, I'm going to Emma's, we're going for coffee, we're going to do this. And I hid it from them for a long time, till the Austin thing, actually. So it must have been 3 months. And then I was like, okay, look, you guys, I do this thing. I think I'm pretty good at it. We're actually getting some traction on this. There could be opportunities, I'm not sure. And then they were like, okay, we understand.
What was that conversation like, though? You're like, Mom and Dad, I gotta...
Yeah, nerve-wracking.
Yeah?
Because I hyperfixate on other things, too. They knew, they're like, this is just going to be, another thing for her. She'll have her phase, and then it won't matter anymore.
Right.
But that's not the case. And they're very supportive now, super supportive. But I was nervous. I didn't tell any of my family. I barely told friends. I never posted Track Talk on my personal social medias. I was just self-conscious. I wasn't embarrassed of the show because I was proud of what we were putting out. We knew our stuff, like I said, but it was more of if this fails, I don't want anyone to know that it fails. But I think that it really, until me put your full confidence into it, it doesn't get good. You really have to put your all into it, and it can't just be a hidden part of it of you, I guess.
Yeah. Emma, talk to me about the process of learning the production side of this. From our personal selves, our first episode, I think that we officially tried. It's never been posted. It's just so we were in the studio and we forgot to turn on our mics, and it was it was recorded on, I think, an iPhone 10 or something, and it was just sitting there, the weird angle, and it's you can find clips of it on our podcast using as B-roll, but talk to me about the learning curve of the production side of things.
It's still a learning curve.
Yeah.
We're still trying to figure it out, but I do have a little bit of a video background, which is nice, because I was like, oh, I've used Premiere Pro before.
Right.
That's what we used to edit, and I was like, I can figure out Audition. So it was just a lot of YouTube tutorials, really, that I watched.
Yeah.
Eventually, when I thought I had it, I was like, okay, Hannah, I think I know what we're doing. I think if we use this program, we'll be fine. So it was just, for me, it's just a lot of self-taught.
Yeah.
It's because I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I was more confident when we definitely first started, because I was very, very much on TikTok too, so I'd already put myself out there a lot, and I was like, people already know that who I am, and I wasn't nervous about my face being out there, or my name being attached to something, and so how do I word this? Whenever I see something on like TikTok or social media and I like it, I'm always like, I think I can do that, but I think I can do it better. And so and that's when like a lot of self-taught comes in. And so I picked up like a few editing things or like graphic design things just because I'm like, I feel like I can do this and I want to know how to do this. So
Right.
that mixed with both our stubbornness, we're like, we're going to figure this out. Since then, like our editing process definitely Hannah has now actually taken over editing, which is great. Like,
Sweet.
so I taught her how to do it. So it's like we both
have like our responsibilities.
Yeah.
So like I'll focus on like getting the podcast out, and then Emma will focus on like the video editing clip stuff because like that can't be taught to me. Honestly. Props to you.
but I don't know. I wouldn't say it was challenging. It was just more like I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah, fair. Fair.
Was there like people who kind of like downplayed your guys' idea initially? It was like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, when we said we wanted to start a podcast, we're like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Absolutely. Like it's embarrassing to be like, I'm gonna start a podcast.
Yeah.
Everyone says they're gonna start a podcast.
But there's a difference between like everyone who says it and then who actually go out and achieve it, right?
I
So it's like
think-
big props to you guys.
It wasn't until like we hit the following count of like on TikTok it grew a bit faster than Instagram, but like we saw it hit like 500, then 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and we're like, and then as soon as the numbers started growing, I think our friends and family were like, oh, like
Yeah.
you might be onto something here.
Yeah.
I'd say my parents were both very supportive, but didn't understand Formula One or motorsports at all, and so
Right.
they were like, well, listen, but we don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'd say it was more like explaining it to friends and family and like my job and being like, hey, like I have to go somewhere to go record. Like I have to leave early to record. Sorry. Like it's definitely easier now because we can like we back it up with numbers and like
Yeah, you got proof.
improve. Be like, no, we're actually good. Like
Yeah.
I promise. But when we first started, it was definitely embarrassing. I'd say to say.
How did you balance that like conversation with your work, like, you know, doing the pod?
I'd love to know that.
Yeah, that's. I would love to know.
Where were you working at the time?
So I worked at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights for a bit, and
Okay.
my manager at the time was like very supportive, and so when I was like, I need a very last minute trip to go to Austin for this media event, he was like, okay, like he was really on board for it.
Nice.
And I think I've just been really lucky in my new job now. I work for Tourism Winnipeg. Same thing. I have a very supportive director, and I make it very clear that both things are a priority. Like I'm not going to give up one to do the other,
Nice.
but I want support when I'm doing track talk, and like I think I've been very lucky to like
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
we're going to St. Pete's in a few weeks, and I had to go to my manager last week and be like, I need a few days off in 2 weeks, and she was like, okay, like you know. So it's sometimes it's
But at the Human Rights Museum too, your boss had ties to the motorsport world, which
yes.
helped.
Yeah, so
lot.
she wasn't my direct manager, but one of the supervisors there, her brother is actually engineer. Is he an engineer?
He's a data analytics geek, the DAG. That's what they call them. in
Dag, yeah.
Okay.
So he actually works in IndyCar on the number 2 car of Joseph Newgarden on Team Penske.
Okay.
So she wasn't really into Formula One, but she was into IndyCar, and so she was really excited, and she tried to get us into IndyCar, which eventually she did. And so it was kind of nice having like another female to talk to about motorsports and be like, no, I have to go, like this is important and you get it. And so she could, you know, also back me up when I needed time off.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hannah, what was it like balancing school and the pod?
Yeah, so luckily I was at the end of my schooling at the University of Winnipeg. So I didn't really have that many classes left to take.
Nice.
Did that first semester was easy enough to balance, and then last year I was doing school remote because in my program now I had to do a post-bac to be able to get into it, so to my master's program. So it was from Winnipeg, but I was going to school out of Minnesota State, and I was home all the time. So like remote schools,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you're
We've been there.
free with
We've
your
been
schedule,
there.
and I could do when I wanted to. So the motorsport side of things, definitely, like I had lots of opportunities to like prepare for the podcast, or I was hardly editing at that time because I didn't know how to do it till Emma taught me. But it actually wasn't that bad. And then just now, I feel like this past season, we've had like some more challenges just because I now live in Minnesota, and now we do the podcast remote. And now instead of her transferring the show to my computer at the end of recording, now it's like we're going through the drive and it takes forever, and then I edit it and I send it back to her, and then so I think now like I need to be more aware of the amount of time that I put into it, but it's been manageable, and I'm really thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
So why the particular niche, especially motorsports, right? Like it's such a male-dominated industry, and so talk to me about the challenges of being a female in motorsports, especially like being a podcast, because a lot of people want to start a podcast and they're like, oh, we'll talk about like the stories of our life and like the.
Well, I mean, we first got into Formula One with Drive to Survive, like that Netflix docu-series. You guys watched it?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I looked at Charles Leclerc and I was like, he's the love of my life. You know, like he's
man.
beautiful. Like I love him. And I think that's honestly the case with like a lot of females getting into the sport. It's like
you have your gateway,
yeah, like
and
you
if
have
your
a
gateway,
gateway.
gateway is these drivers are really attractive to look at, and then you take that and you learn everything about the sport after that. Then like
You take
to
that
me,
away.
It's like you have your gateway, and a lot of females get judged for having that same gateway of like those guys are good to look at, but that just discounts, I think, like all the work that we've done since then to learn, and that's, I find like that's the biggest challenge being a female in motorsport. But for us, like we're proud that like that was our beginning, and honestly any female we talked to had the same beginning.
it's relatable as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, like as soon as we started watching it, I think we had similar paths. We're just like, I want to know everything that goes on with this sport. Hannah watches every sport known to mankind. I've never watched any sport ever. Like I've never been a sports person, and so watching Drive to Survive, and then the first race I watched was like the Australian Grand Prix of that year, which was pretty early on in the season. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but this is so exciting and so cool. And then I just YouTube videos and tutorials and like, or not tutorials, but like explanations.
Yeah.
Like, what is a Grand Prix and like what these letters mean, and like I was just so hyper fixated on it. And I honestly thought, I was like, maybe I'll get over it in a few months, but then I didn't. And it's nice because it's relatable for a lot of other females who are either fans of the sport or content creators or in the industry. And we try to be relatable. Like we try to, like Track Talk was created to like, we want to have like an open community. Like we want people to feel like it's okay to come here and say like, you got into Formula One because of Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
But let's learn together and like let's keep growing like with the sport.
Yeah.
How young were you guys when you guys got into it? Like when did you guys get into it?
Recently.
Oh, right.
We
Okay.
got into motorsports.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I watched Drive to Survive in 2020.
Nice.
So I would have been 20 or 21.
Sure.
And then Emma was a year after me.
2021 or 2020?
So I watched the full 2021 season. You didn't watch that season, so you would have.
It was a year after.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
again, like this is
You just
very like
dived into it. Yeah.
White literally just
Yeah. And being a motorsport fan, well, especially Formula One, so the races are oftentimes like in the early morning or like really late at night because a lot of them are from Europe or from like Australia or Japan or whatnot. So like you really judge how much you love it from the very beginning when you're waking up at like 4 a.m. to watch Japanese Grand Prix, or like staying up till like 1 to even see the start of the Australian one. Like you really are able to be like, okay, I actually care about this thing because I'm going to get up at all hours.
And you don't even see the drivers. Like they have helmets on and
Yeah,
like, they're in their cars, and it's just like
Just
we're
watching
watching
cars
the
ride.
actual race.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's
Do you guys get invested into that? Like people watching football or something, or like basketball, or like,
Yeah.
come on, overtake them.
I will say
you not as much.
me definitely not as much. I'm just like not a very like reactive person when I'm like watching anything, unless it's like a scary movie, obviously. But with Formula One too, though, it's different than other forms of motorsport. I feel like I'm more into it with like IndyCar, because the racing is so much more unpredictable. So I feel like I'm more on the edge of my seat with that. Whereas Formula One, like I'm still very much into it, but I'm like I feel like I know what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I think especially for that entire season when Max Verstappen won like almost every race, I was like I actually don't need to watch this. Just read it about it. Like
So like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch people drive around in circles is kind of
Misconception.
Yeah, there you go.
Stop you there.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Formula One's not circles.
yeah. So
I know, but
I know, and people people say that to us all the time. Like, how many times have we heard that?
But ovals are so cool to watch.
I know, and
Like-
now I like them, and now I'm like, wait, but I actually would get up for it.
I was like, I would get up super early to watch
So
an
yeah,
oval.
so Formula One is like
Circuit.
street or road circuit based.
Yeah, yeah.
And NASCAR is traditionally like oval based,
Oval
which now
based.
they all do. Like now NASCAR does street circuits now
NASCAR has
too.
one street
so,
circuit in
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah. But then so originally I was like, no, turning left is boring. I'm not going to watch that. And then we got into IndyCar, and we got hard in IndyCar, and we went to the Indy 500 last May, and that's a 2.5 mile oval track, and it was so cool. Like
Yeah.
the fastest racing that we've ever seen, and like the most intense. And on an oval, like everything is everyone's so close up in the field, and it really, your pit stops matter, your strategy matters, your spotter matters, and it was like way more high stakes than any
Yeah.
Formula One event I've watched, honestly.
But before we, like the first Indy 500 that we watched, not in person, we told ourselves, we're like, we're gonna watch the Indy
Yeah.
500. This is our introduction to IndyCar. This was like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And it was the moment that like really kind of pulled me in was there was a pit stop for Joseph Penske, the number 2 car.
Joseph Newgarden.
Oh my God, why do I
know,
keep
you
saying
keep-
Joseph
It
Penske?
might as well be Penske too.
It might as well be Penske. Joseph Newgarden, cut that, please. It's not Joseph Penske. There's a pit stop for Joseph Newgarden, like from Team Penske, and during the pit stop, I noticed one of the mechanics had a ponytail, and I was like, "Shut up! There's a female pit crew mechanic."
Yeah.
And then from there, I was like, "I want to know who she is. I want to talk to her. I want to be her friend. She's so cool."
Yeah.
And then she really helped us get into IndyCar as well and like
Nice.
explain how it works. So it was nice to see a female quite literally on the track, and
Yeah.
like that was the coolest moment for me. And since then, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get into Indy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a huge NASCAR or motorsport fan.
That's okay.
Talked to a couple people here and there just through the pod, but like naturally curious.
Yeah.
What is IndyCar and what does that
That's a
mean?
fair question.
What does that mean?
So I like to say, for people that don't really know it, IndyCar is like North American Formula One. And IndyCar people would hate that, but I think it's the easiest way to say like it's a racing series where it's not just ovals. The cars are very similar to Formula One cars. They are a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. They have a little bit, the technical aspects are a little different, but they look very similar.
Okay.
And the drivers who are in IndyCar all have experience in the Formula Series, so like there are familiar names, and they do road course, street course, and oval tracks in IndyCar.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's lots of different types of racing in it, but it is majority. Well, actually, all the races are in the States, other than the one Toronto street circuit. So it doesn't have the global audience that Formula One has, but it's getting there because there are a lot of now drivers that people have seen race in Formula One or Formula 2 and have come to IndyCar, so they bring over a European audience. This year, they have one of the most well-known F1 commentators over the last 15 years. He now made the jump to IndyCar, so they're really growing their series more.
Okay.
And I'm sure, even if you don't know IndyCar, have you heard of the Indy 500?
Yeah.
So everyone's heard of the Indy 500.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where they get people to start watching it, is because that race it's the biggest spectacle in racing. It's the biggest single day sporting event in the entire world.
Right.
We were there was 400,000 people there.
Wow.
It kind of got us hooked. And the racing is similar, but the oval tracks are different. So
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know how NASCARs are essentially, they just look like regular cars, but they're
stock cars.
stock cars.
Yeah.
So F1 and Indy cars, the Formula Series cars, and then IndyCar Series cars are single seaters. And so
An open wheel.
open wheel, single,
Great looking cars.
yes.
Great
So
looking
that's
cars.
like how to tell the difference if you're just looking at it. But Formula One is definitely more of a manufacturer's competition, like
Right.
a constructor's competition is a good way to put
Gotcha.
it. Whereas IndyCar, a lot of the parts that create the car itself, they have to get it from like one or two suppliers, and then they build the car around it. Unlike Formula One, where it's like they have to start from literally scratch. So
Gotcha.
both are very much team sports. Like there's one driver, but there's whole teams around it. It's just not as crazy on the manufacturing side in IndyCar compared to
Gotcha.
Formula One.
And that's attractive to lots of motorsport fans because Formula One over the past few years has been dominated by specific teams. So for the past 3 years, Red Bull has won the championship. Max Verstappen, their driver, has won almost all the races for them. Before that, Lewis Hamilton won with Mercedes for 7 years.
Yep.
Could be 8.
Could be 8.
We could,
You want to argue it.
yeah, that's controversial in our space. And in IndyCar, you really just never know who's going to win because instead of Mercedes having the most dominant car, Chevy and Honda are the 2 manufacturers for IndyCar. So the cars are way more, the
And
competition is,
They're
yeah,
all
well, yes, they're way more balanced. So
Got it.
it's
Equal.
Yeah.
I'd say like the cars are so much more of an equal playing field.
yeah,
Mm.
for sure.
Compared to Formula 1.
And so then the only difference becomes like the driver
Pretty much.
and like
Yeah.
the track.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is sweet.
Interesting.
Because some drivers are better on oval tracks
Right.
than street tracks
Mhm.
or vice versa.
Yeah.
And then there's different strategies too on ovals. Like it's much different. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only interaction with probably like motorsport or even racing is like Lightning McQueen.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those three.
Well, that's
those three.
actually- It's our,
Good movies.
It's our
Great
outro.
movie.
Great movies.
Great
Great trilogy.
Our podcast
Great
outro
driver, man.
Is, it's Ka-chow for now.
Good job. Oh, that's sweet.
That's our outro. Is- so yeah, that's. We
No.
watch it.
Yeah.
We met lots of we work with a Formula One driver. We have worked with a Formula One driver and done interviews with him. He
Yeah.
loves cars. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Second-
not just like
Yeah. Second movie's kind of debatable, but
Yeah.
like we'll live.
yeah.
You
Third
know.
one's good. Blue
Third one's
Elephant's in
fire.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh man. Okay, so you go from this idea of like, okay, let's start a podcast, especially about motorsports. When you got that first invite to Austin, what did that feel like? Like when you got that email, reading it, was it like, okay, this is insane,
it. Or
or
screaming.
What was?
think
You
it
were
was
in cheer
a scam.
competition.
I was at a cheerleading competition, doing like media.
I called you and I was like, well,
What's that phrase we use?
Ka-chow?
No.
Sorry.
It's so real.
imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I felt like it was like this isn't real. Like,
Gotcha.
they actually don't
Yeah.
mean to invite us. Like that's not right.
Mhm.
Well, we didn't know what they were inviting us to also because they commented on the video that I made. I was talking about how I thought it was kind of ridiculous that at Miami, their first Grand Prix, which was 3 years ago now, for their influencers, they invited a lot of like the younger TikTok crowd. And I was watching videos from them when they were there, like these different creators to see what it was like. And lots of them were like, oh yeah, I'm too hungover to be here. It's too hot.
We talking about like Addison Rae kind of
Yeah.
vibes?
Well, it was like, yeah, like the guys.
The
Like
guys? Okay.
oh,
Sway boys.
Oh, Sway Boys.
boys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They were like, I don't want to, like, I'm getting,
They thought the race was on a Saturday.
yeah, like,
It's
I'm
not.
getting in the car today. Don't know if, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Going with Alfa Romero, they were calling it. I'm like, well, it's not even what it's called. And I was mad because I was like, look, there's so many motorsport creators in this space. And I wasn't talking about us. I'm like, there's so many motorsport creators in this space that are so well known for what they do. And they would provide such a better experience. And because it was Miami's first year, we're like, have these motorsport creators show you what it's like to experience Miami like from a motorsport fans perspective and get other motorsports to want to come to this race, like market it. And I just felt like they took the wrong approach to that. And that was a video I put out. Got a lot of traction. Probably would say, I would choose different words if I was to say it now. And Austin commented, Coda, Circuit of the Americas commented and said, we provide, what did they say? Something about, we provide excellent hospitality here in Texas. Check your DMs. We were like, they're sending us to the race.
We're like, what?
We're gonna go.
Ooh.
They did not send us to the race.
They send you a cease and desist. That's what they say.
They reached out and then got our email and they wanted us to come out to like this media,
Yeah.
literally a media event to create content to promote the upcoming race. And I
Right.
was like, hell yeah, I'll go
Yeah.
to Austin. Like, why not?
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, Hannah, it's not unfortunate. She was
No,
in
I
Italy.
was in
like, she
Italy.
fine. So I went by myself, which was also scary because I've done everything with her up this
Yeah.
point. Like, so I'm very grateful for the other females that I met, like the other content creators and podcasters. Like, they were so supportive and nice and willing to help and take content with me or for me. But getting there and like getting to the hotel and saw that there was like a gift package and like a drink for me, and I was like, what? I was like, I'm just a girl from Winnipeg who talks about cars. Like, what? Like, it was so surreal. I was like, this is normal.
Yeah.
And I think for a while now, it's like sometimes it still feels like that.
I still feel that all the time. Every time I get a credential with my name on it,
I'm like, whoa, my name. Like, yeah.
Well, and most recently, so our newest, I unfortunately had to miss this too, but 2 weeks ago, we had the opportunity, we were invited by Ford Performance to go to their season launch in Charlotte, North Carolina a few weeks ago.
Fine.
And at that event, so they were unveiling their plans. Ford is joining Red Bull for Formula One in 2026. So they
Wow.
were unveiling their plans in Formula One, and they also race in lots of other series. So we had the opportunity to go to that, and that was super cool. And Emma, I unfortunately got sick before, so I couldn't go, but she was able to interview the CEO for Performance. His name is Jim Farley, and
Fire.
he, in that interview, like explained that he actually listens to our show with his daughter, who's 17 years old and has found her own way into motorsports, not through him, not through her dad,
That's great.
but through like finding Formula One creators that look like her or she could relate to. And we were like, okay, that's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And that was my most recent, like, this is not real moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think I've ever been so nervous to talk to someone as I was with the CEO, like Jim Farley, like
Yeah.
CEO. I was like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna talk to him about? Like it was just I was like, why? Who let this happen? Like why are we doing this? Like I don't.
What'd you ask him?
I don't even know. I mean, I asked him. I asked him his thoughts on the saying like in past like years ago, Formula One used to be all about win on Sunday, sell on Monday, and that was because a lot of manufacturers like sold regular cars too. So I was like, do you still think that's the case? He's like, absolutely not. Like racing on its own is a business. Ford as a car company is its own business. It should be different things. So I was like, that's interesting. Like I was like, that's an interesting perspective. I kind of assumed that he would see it as sell on, win on Sunday, sell on Monday kind of thing.
Yeah.
I talked to him about like joining Red Bull, and then they're also joining World Endurance Championship. So that's just another form of racing come 2027. You know the movie Ford versus Ferrari?
Yeah, great movie.
Great movie.
I like that movie.
And so Ford hasn't been part of that series of racing in years. And so now they're going back to it. And so we're going to get like a literal repeat of Ford v Ferrari. So that's super exciting. And, you know, something that people like us, like this generation, can relate to because it's like, oh, we've seen this movie. Now we can actually watch it.
Yeah, in real life.
That's sweet.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That must have been so nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes. I walked out. I was like, I'm sweating. I was like, someone get me like a vodka Red Bull right now.
What are your thoughts on like the current world of racing? Like, are you sell on, what was the phrase you
Win
used?
on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Yeah.
No, because I can't afford my car right now. Like, I don't care if a Mercedes is winning. I'm not going to go out and buy one.
Okay.
And right, like, but it used to be. Formula One really was like such a marketing.
Like to sell their cars.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, it's just obviously not the case anymore.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't think so.
Well, it's luxury brands too. Like,
True.
Yeah.
because I'm a Ferrari fan, I can't afford a Ferrari, and that's just how things are, unfortunately.
But
Soon. Coming soon.
Yeah.
But if you had the opportunity to buy whatever car,
An
would
Aston Martin.
would it influence? Would your decision of buying the car influence if that team won?
Yeah, no,
No?
no,
Okay.
a little bit.
But
I know.
Like
I,
if Lewis
I know what
Hamilton
you're saying.
is driving a Ford F-150, are you gonna pick up a
See,
Ford
that's the
F-150?
thing.
Road car is
God.
different though because it's open wheel and it's single seater. I find that the mechanics of it are just so different that like how can that transfer over to like a road car?
Right.
But Jim actually said that is the case, and they don't race open wheel yet, but he said that is the case, and they take a lot of data from their performance cars and put them into their road cars. So like
Right.
I don't know, maybe that is something that maybe they need to market that more, and then people would.
yeah, I was in I don't know why they let me, but I got to drive like a Mustang.
Yeah.
You saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw that.
saw
I was
that.
just about to ask you.
I was in there was
The Dakar
Raptor, which was cool, and that was just riding a lot with that. But then I got to drive a car, which was super cool. And after I got out, I was like, I would buy a Ford. Like,
Yeah.
this
Really?
is so sick. Like, I would totally buy a Ford.
I can't say the same, to be honest. I have one. It takes a while. My uncle said like Ford stands for
Ford owners
fix.
recommend Dodge.
No, yeah, well that or like
I know what you're talking about.
daily maintenance or something like Ford always. Oh, I gotta find it
No,
now.
I know exactly
I know what
My
you're
dad's
talking
gonna.
about. I've had
dad's
to.
gonna get out-
I've had
get
to
some Ford
repair.
F-150.
I had to repair my Mustang so many times because the window doesn't go up or like the gas
It
gets
drives
out.
Nice. Like,
It's a great looking car. It's a great looking car, but
Yeah, Mustang GT.
I want to find
It
that first
was-
now.
The GT was unable to be
Ford
driven by.
owners recommend Dodge.
No, it's not that.
That's what I know.
Yeah.
so I got to drive one of like a race, like one of their performance cars, which is super cool. And I hate driving my regular car. Like
Loves motorsport.
I love watching
driving.
Motorsport. So they were like, "Do you want to drive this?" And I was like, "Sure." And the guy, there was an actual driver next to me, like explaining it, and he was like, "Just let the car speak to you." And I was like, "I don't speak car." Like, I don't know what that means. Like, what do you?
Boom, boom. Catch out. Catch out.
I don't know what it means. But like, it was still like I'm never gonna drive. Yeah, that was good. I'm never gonna drive this again. Like, it was cool, and like I said this on our podcast. You can, if I don't care if you cut this or not, but the petty part of me was like my ex is such a car guy and he's a mechanic, and so I just knew that he would be like so jealous of me.
Oh yeah.
Driving this like souped up car. And I was like, I'm gonna make the most of it.
Like, you're driving at like 60 kilometers too. You know he'd be pissed.
It was faster than that a little bit. Anyway.
Can you break down the story? Like, what did it feel like sitting behind the wheel? Like, full start to finish. Like, you know you're getting in this car.
My
Like,
it was so tight. My cheeks were like squished. But
break down the entire story for that.
I was overwhelmed. I was like, "Are you sure you want me to drive? Like, I don't know what I'm doing." He was like, "No, you're fine, you're fine." So he like walked me through like the track. He's like, you just gotta look ahead. And I was like, "What?" Like, I'm like, "Yeah, obviously. Like, where else am I gonna look?" Like,
do you indicate? Like, how does this work? Like, do you have to indicate?
No, you just go. And like,
are there indicators? Are there indicators on the car?
Like signal lights?
Yeah, signal lights.
I don't know.
Because
it's a performance car. There's no.
It's not like, oh, I'm turning in here now.
No,
like, let me in. Let me in.
Yeah.
Signal to the left and fucking go into the lane. No.
I didn't signal at all.
They're like, yeah, go ahead.
Like, where else are you gonna go?
They're flipping each other off.
Like, you can only turn one way, so yeah, go that way. I don't know. It was just surreal, and it just went by so fast. And he was like, "Do you want to go again?" And I was like, "Not really, but sure." Like, I was like, my stomach hurts. I was like, I'm not going very fast. Like, do you want to get someone else in here who can like actually drive? He's like, "No, you're doing great." So the guy was so supportive.
Yeah.
Was it Frankie?
No.
So Frankie Muniz, the actor, actually drove Emma
in a different race car.
In a different car.
Oh wow.
He's so funny. He's like the nicest
I don't know who that is.
guy. Like, you meet celebrities or actors and you'd have like an opinion of them, but he was so normal and like down to earth. And I was actually chatting with his teammate before I got in the car, and he's part of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, so he doesn't drive typical race cars, he drives race trucks, which is really cool. And so when I got in the car, Frankie was chatting with someone. I was just in the passenger seat. Frankie was chatting with someone about how Malcolm in the Middle is still like one of the most popular shows in France for some reason.
Okay.
And so he was like, we gotta race in Le Mans. Like, and I'm like, okay, what's happening? And so he's like, do you want to go slow? Do you want to go fast? I was like, no, like we can go fast. He's like, let's. And then we did 3 laps around the track, which was so fun. And I don't know if I told you this after, but
You throw up?
no, I didn't throw up. But later, like we were just having lunch or whatever, there was a panel session going on, and I was facing the panelists, and there was like the table, it was a round table, right? There were people behind me, and as I'm watching the panelists talk, I could hear talking behind me at the table, and I didn't know who it was because all I knew it was you and our friend Boston. So I looked, and it's Frankie Muniz, like chatting with his friend, and I was like, and I gave him a look, but then I realized who I was like looking at, and I was like, oh, never mind. Like,
You're telling him to stop
talking. You're telling him to stop talking, but I was like, nope, never mind.
That's funny.
Like,
That's really funny.
yeah, just
I don't.
oh,
Have you ever seen Malcolm in the Middle?
Nope.
come on.
Malcolm in the Middle, what else?
Agent Cody Banks, big fat
Big Fat
liar.
Liar.
I've seen Agent like the guy?
Yeah, the guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't say I
Yeah, he's
know him
a-
personally.
People who are listening to this,
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of them will know.
They'll
But
understand.
he's a
What kept you guys going in the podcast though? It's like, it's just so, like personally, we have these moments where like, fuck this, like, we're done. But then it's like,
2 views a video.
one person likes our video and like, okay, let's go, we're back. Like, that stubbornness that you guys talk about, like just proving. Did you guys have something to prove, or like?
I mean, to be honest, like our first year, we did in our first year 23 to 25,000 followers on TikTok.
Wow.
And we were like, I don't even feel like we knew like the numbers we were putting up at the time. And looking back, I'm like, wow,
Big
because
stats.
it's definitely like plateaued since then. a little
Yeah.
bit. But I felt like with everything that happened, we just got more opportunities. So like we hit like 10,000, then we get a sponsor. And then we work with this sponsor for the whole season, and now we're getting paid. And we're like, okay, this is awesome. And then we're getting an opportunity to join this Motorsport app. And then we're getting an opportunity to work for IndyCar. Last March, we were brought out by IndyCar to work for them on their content team in California at their, they did a race, but it wasn't for points. It was for $1 million. And it was so cool. Like it was, and then, so then there's that. And then we get credentials at these races that we go to now. And now we're under a talent agency, and now they're bringing us opportunities. Like we already had the Ford one this year. We're going to go and do a Mazda event in 2 weeks in St. Petersburg. And it's like, I feel like we haven't had a second to be like, to evaluate, like, should we be doing this? Because all indications are like, people want you, like, keep going. So I don't know. Like, I feel like we've been really lucky in that way.
Right.
Yeah. Would you want to do this full time?
That's such a hard question to answer.
I feel like it's not hard for you.
I feel like it's hard for you.
I feel like it's hard for you.
If I could, I would. Podcasting full time or like having that as a job, not sustainable.
Sure.
So I'd want to, like I've thought about like applying for social media jobs or like content creation jobs within teams.
Okay.
But then I'm always worried that like I'll stop enjoying what I do.
Yeah.
When it becomes work.
Yes. And that's the case with one of our really good friends in Boston. Is she was really into.
She works with us on the pod.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
We call her
our producer. She's not a producer.
She's not a producer. We call her a producer. That's just to make sure she gets credentials. Because if we're like, she's our friend, she's like, they're gonna be like, no. But she was really into motorsports, liked Formula One, and then she started working with NASCAR. And like, she was honest. She was like, I haven't watched a single Formula One race this year. Like, it feels like a job. And so I think I don't want that to happen if I were to ever work full time in the motorsports industry.
Gotcha.
So I think it's just about balancing that. And I do like my current job, like, so I don't plan on leaving that anytime soon.
Yeah. Hannah, what about you?
I have gone through 8 years of schooling to this point to get my master's degree. My undergrad was extended. It's not like it took me,
No, we got you.
I don't think, sorry?
Master's in what?
I'm doing my master's in speech pathology.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, yeah. So I feel like at this point, I couldn't, in good conscience, quit what I'm doing because I put so much time and money and effort into it. But with that being said, my dream would be to do content creation in sports in general. I love motorsports, but like Emma said, like when you're in it, it does become all consuming and you don't love it as much. But I love all sports. And if I had parity between like, I'm going to this NHL rink, I'm going to this tennis event, I'm going to this motorsport event, I think I would love my life so much. Oh, I do love my life, but I think I would really love
Like
my life.
a Megan Overtime or a...
Yeah.
Or,
she's great. Emmy Rain, I don't know if she's with TSN. She's great too. Any of these people that have found their like opportunities to do different sporting events, I think is way more feasible than like we're in motorsports and now it's like tunnel vision in motorsports. I think that's hard.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Necessarily trust your gut, follow your gut, do what you love.
Yeah.
It won't feel like work.
Yeah.
That's also a fair point.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
whenever we do go to races and like we're working, it's non-stop work. It's
You sleep 4 hours.
4 hours, you wake up, or like I'm editing right before like the green flag is waved.
Yeah.
Like I'm just glued to my phone. I don't know what's going on around me, or like editing or preparing for the next interview with the next driver. And so it's like 3 straight days of just work and content, and like it's a lot. And then afterwards I feel like I'm not doing this again. But I'm going to.
Do you have a story or of a moment where you guys had to like go to an event and just grinded it out for what you're saying, like those 3 days or whatever it may be?
Yeah, so
What do you have?
you think Nashville? I think the Thermal Club was.
Let's go both. Let's go both.
So that was in Palm Springs in California when we were working for IndyCar, and that was our first paid like content creation opportunity. So we probably did more than we needed to.
You hit the deliverables.
Like, we want to make a good impression. We want to be asked back. We were working alongside a now IndyCar driver and another female in motorsport who is huge. Her name was Ash Vandelay, and we were like, we need to make great impressions on them and everyone around us. And I slept 4 hours every night.
I was so tired.
Like we were exhausted after.
I just would we'd go back to the big motor coach, right?
Yeah.
And I just sit in the corner and like edit, and I'm like, I just like, it was a lot, and it was fun, but then I was constantly also looking at our schedule, be like, oh, we have to go meet this person, we have to go connect with this person, we have to go find this driver, we have to go find this team, and then still like capturing content and like behind the scenes and like of us, and
And then film our
It was-
podcast
yeah.
episode, which was like 2 hours long because we had so many stories to tell. Like, there's a lot going on, but that was fun.
It was fun, and it was at the start of the season, and like it kind of like got us really excited for the IndyCar season. Same with our listeners, and yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like every race weekend is just we don't have a
You gotta
choice.
lock
Like
in,
we're
yeah.
here, we're working.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not here as a spectator. I'm here to work.
Yeah.
Um,
St.
I like-
Petersburg is going to be like that, I fear.
Here to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it crazy to say like, hey, we're here to work, but we're also at like one of the biggest events that we could have like ever imagined. Like
It's so
we had this similar thought when we were at Lakeside Live in Kenora,
yeah.
and so we're like we pull up an RV right behind the stage, backstage, right next to the security guards. Like it's insane the experience that we got, and then like. Felix Cartel just walks into our RV, and then we have Julian Jordan walking into our RV. Like it was just like
Yeah, you sleep 4 hours. You're
You-
transferring
no, we
footage
should-
till 1 in the morning. You're like,
we
know,
like
so,
we
like-
were up till like what 2-3 a.m.
yeah, just
transferring footage,
Yeah.
and then it was the next day we were up at like 8 o'clock, and we
know.
were like ready to go,
But
setting up. the
similar
event.
thing, like
it's
we
just-
wanted to make an impression as well.
Yeah.
Like first event that we're kind of like actually here for. Like yes, we're working. Yes, we're filming a doc. Yes, we're filming pods. But we're here to work. Like
Yeah.
we're here to show you that like we're a big player in here.
Yeah.
We're yeah. Oh, did we move couches? Absolutely.
Did we go pick up liquor? Oh yeah.
Did we set up the barricades? Yeah. But you know, those moments are what we lived for.
Yeah,
Like
it pays off. Like you make good connections,
Yeah.
and like
Of
you
course.
meet people who like remember you and like
Yeah.
100%.
want to work with you in the future again. So
Mhm.
it's a lot and it's tiring, but like I'll never look back at a race weekend and be like, oh God, I wish I didn't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I've been telling like, yo, strike me down the day. I'm like, oh, I gotta go to another event for this thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
I mean, this is what I signed up for.
Yeah,
Like
no, exactly.
in the mom's basement, like the first 7 episodes, I'm like, yo, someone invite me somewhere. And then all of a sudden you get invited and you're like, okay, this is
Yeah.
what we lived for.
No,
So
you're right, you're
like,
right.
you know, we need those moments. We need those times.
Yeah.
We could speak on like positive moments as well, but
Yeah.
we can tell like there's been a lot of low moments throughout our journey as well.
Yeah.
Has there any been low moments for you guys where you thought, hey, maybe this pod's over, or maybe we can't do this no more?
I don't think we were ever serious about like thinking like the pod was over, to be
Yeah.
honest. But the online
There's
having an online presence comes with a negative, and you
course.
just have to know that going into it. And I'm sure you guys know.
100%.
And early on, we learned like a really valuable lesson that I wish we didn't have to go through that to learn it, but we did. And it was we criticized some drivers, and their fan base came at us hard, like really
like
hard.
very hard. I did not go to work for an entire
How hard?
week. I was
Like death
death
threats. And,
Oh wow. Okay.
like
God
yeah,
damn.
you know, the usual.
Oh,
to be
no.
fair,
tanking our reviews, like that
yeah.
was bad.
To be fair though, like Track Talk, we always promote it as a place where your opinions can be heard. And we know that some other, just being a female in this industry, sometimes you are scared to share your opinion. And it was what, our first season, yeah.
Yeah.
We said something about a driver and put it on TikTok, and of course it was just a part. It was,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say clickbait, but it was like just one part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And then someone took it and ran with it, put it on Twitter, started tagging Track Talk on Twitter. We don't
We don't
have
even
Twitter.
have Twitter.
So I was like, I don't know who you're tagging right now, but sorry.
Get rid of them, yeah.
Ooh.
And then it just like spiraled, and then it was like
Well, then
people
yeah.
who don't even know who we are, don't listen to us, or
Yeah.
didn't hear the full conversation or full story, went to our podcast, gave it like 1-star reviews, and it plummeted. Like gave us like so many
Yeah.
negative and like we're lucky that it hasn't happened again, and we definitely learned our lesson from that. Like there is like, yes, you can share your opinion, but there is a line.
Yeah.
But
I think it was also because it was in a different state of the world. Like what I mean is, like back in 2020 when did that happen exactly? That was
That would have been 2022.
2022. Okay.
2022.
2022.
Must
Yeah,
have been.
like the world's coming out of COVID. People are on edge. Stuff's happening.
Cancel culture is rampant.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
it's-
right? And so
what
it's
I'll say too about the motorsport community, and this
were
is,
scared.
I know, I get so scared every time I have this conversation. So, okay, I'll put it in terms that when we were in grade 8, 7, 8, 9, we loved One Direction.
Yeah.
those
So
were
did we.
guys.
Yeah, or so did I.
There is no One Direction anymore. Formula One drivers have become, and this is just an example, they become like, we call it boy bandification, actually,
essentially.
of
Okay.
motorsports.
This is a
because-
term.
Yes, actually. Yeah,
is
the
a term.
motorsport world uses it
Okay.
to describe the fandom that these Formula One drivers, these young ones, have. It's unrelenting. Like,
Yeah.
you can't say a thing similar to why we couldn't criticize Harry Styles back in 2013.
Yeah,
you
you
can't
can't.
criticize Charles Leclerc now or Lando Norris. And
It's
it's tough.
But like that's any fan base, and
Yeah.
I think that it's all. When Drive to Survive came out, and like, it was definitely a lot of young girls that started watching it. Like, you get an influx of young girls, new fans. Like, you're gonna pick your favorite, and you're gonna defend them
True.
to the day you die.
Yeah.
I do that but like, I'm not mean about it. Like,
Yeah.
but
I just think there's a lot of people in motorsport, on motorsport Twitter, which scares the hell out of me,
we don't.
and now on Instagram, that don't know the repercussions of their actions quite yet. And that could be them just being really young, or them just having like lesser life experience, or I'm not sure what it is, but
Yeah.
you know, not understanding that telling me to go kill myself, it's not, why did you say that? And like,
Because I don't. Like
I'm not going to do it. So
Yeah.
where are we at here?
It's
Yeah,
never
yeah.
like made us. It's never put us in a position where like we need to stop the podcast. If anything, like me and Hannah, like we have pretty thick skin, I'd say, which is nice. Like recently, like there were a few comments that got under my skin, and I just was like, Hannah, I'm not going to post for a few days because I'm like, I just need to sit with it, and
Sure.
like our audience knows it, and we have a very supportive like following, and so they're not going to question it if we take like a few days off social media. But it's just a matter of like knowing that these people on the internet would never say this to you in real life. Like they would never go up to you and be like, oh, you don't like my favorite driver? I'm going to like throw rocks at you. Like, do you know, like,
Yeah.
So it's just navigating that.
Has that changed your perspective on how you personally use social media? In a sense of like,
Yes.
you're so
yeah.
cognitive of the type of
I
content
will
that you
never
post,
leave
or
a hate comment ever.
No, yeah, absolutely
Like,
not.
I just like,
Neither did Michael Jordan, so you're good.
like, I don't like, I mean, I was on One Direction Twitter back in the day. I definitely probably left a lot of hate comments, or like, would like fight to the death for Zayn Malik, right? So,
beauty.
Great song. Yeah, great guy. Great guy.
Shout out
but-
Zayn.
like now, my favorite driver is someone who a lot of people hate, unfortunately.
Pretty much everybody.
Can you
Pretty
say who it
much
is?
everyone. Pardon?
Can you say who it is?
Yeah, Lance Stroll.
Okay.
He's a Nepo baby, is what it is. But
Okay.
I love him so much, and I will defend him, but I will not go out of my way to be like, you're wrong, and I hate you. And like,
Explain the Nepo baby thing. It's quite big.
okay, so Lance Stroll, his father owns the Aston Martin Formula One team, and so when he purchased it, there was it was kind of unspoken that like the seat would go to his son Lance,
Yeah.
because he was coming up from a different, or he was already in
He was
Formula
in Formula One on a different team.
but at a different team. So when his dad bought the better team, quote unquote, everyone was like, okay, his son's gonna get the seat, and he's not the best driver. Like, I'm not gonna like say like he's a Lewis Hamilton or like Fernando Alonso, but he's so portrayed negatively because people think that he has a seat because of his dad's money. Unfortunately, with Formula One drivers, you can't get a seat unless you have money.
Yeah.
And if it comes from your parents, it comes from your parents. If my dad was a billionaire and he didn't buy me like a team, I'd be like, come on, you don't love me, you know. So I don't blame.
Clip it.
Like, and so it's just unfortunate
Clip that.
because he's gonna listen to this and be like, what are you? He was like, I work for a trucking company.
I'm a truck.
He did teach me how to drive in the parking lot at the trucking company where
Hey,
it's at. So
geez.
that's, you know, I
Hey,
guess
that's
Hey, there you go. Shout out Dad.
and so Lance, because he doesn't have like the accolades like back him up for being a best driver, people are like, he doesn't deserve a seat.
Yeah.
And he's also not he doesn't put himself out there on social media, whereas other drivers do. And because of that, that's when the boy bandification comes in, where it's like people see their driver making reels or connecting with their audience, and they're like, oh my God, like, I love him, he's so relatable. Lance doesn't do that ever. so people don't know him.
Yeah.
Again, we don't actually know any of these people, but people feel like they know a driver who's on social media more compared to someone who's not. And so yeah, so he's a Nepo baby for sure, but that's not. He gets a lot of hate
not
just
valid.
because of it, because
Okay,
of his
sure.
dad's money and because he's like seen as a paid driver.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does
But I love him, and I would never attack someone for hating him.
does Formula One work in that world? Like, if you are just more recognizable or like you're more marketable, that you're gonna get more opportunities to like switch teams or like do that kind of
very much
things?
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah.
And you get paid more because of that. Like, how does this work? How does the finances of the Formula world work?
Yeah, so, okay, so, just to get somewhere in motorsports, you have to have either a really loyal sponsorship,
Yeah.
who's going to pay your way, or you have to have family money. So,
Got it.
Formula One is probably the only series where, like, truly you're getting paid a lot for what you do, because even in IndyCar, they don't get paid that much. They have to bring more sponsorship money than they even get paid. So, I would say yes, and then the like putting yourself out there and marketing yourself definitely gets you places. I would say like looking at the McLaren boys, like that's what got them to build their fan base, is because they were so prominent on social media, and same with Alex Albon as well. So yeah, but like switching teams, I wouldn't say as much, because it's all about sponsorship. Like cash is king. It's not necessarily like who's the best driver.
Got you.
Because, like, I mean, objectively, like, I know, like, Lance Stroll
Shout out
probably
Lance,
shouldn't be in F1.
yeah.
There probably is more talented drivers,
But he's
he
talented.
brings...
But he also, but like,
He brings a
Dad
name.
brings-
He brings a
he
name.
brings,
He brings a
like,
reputation of
That's
some
the
sort.
motorsport. That's where motorsports does lose people. It's not about talent. It's more about money.
Really?
And
Okay.
that
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of does suck a little bit. Because we've seen some really talented drivers in IndyCar and Formula 2 lose their seats just because they don't have the backing. And that sucks.
Yeah, we talked to Amber, which we talked about
Yes.
earlier, and one thing that I took away from her conversation was like, sponsors like everything. Like,
Yep.
you don't get paid a lot as a driver, but you need to be tatted up in sponsors to be able to even like practice, to even like prove yourself as a driver. And like that always was like weird to me. Like I don't know, I watch basketball, so I'm like, oh, you could just get better at basketball. But yeah, you could technically get better as a driver, but you also need
but you'll be
fine.
scared
You'll be
to
like
carry
yeah.
yourself,
So
Yeah.
that's
It
such a
wasn't-
weird world.
It wasn't always that way. Like, it used to be like, if you could buy a car, build a car, you could race. And then, it's just over time it just changes, and then sponsorships become, yeah, it becomes a business. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching the movie Talladega Nights.
Oh,
And,
hell yeah!
One of my favorite scenes is a deleted scene, and he's doing a bunch of like sponsorship ads. A bunch of
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that. I know exactly.
So outlandish. It's like what is like, but it kind of like explains like these guys will do anything to get those sponsorship money, and then
Yeah.
doing condoms or birth control. Or
Yeah.
whatever. It's, like,
Yeah.
Crazy. Dog food, like.
I know what
Is-
you're talking. I've seen those.
Is the viewership for F1 like crazy?
Sorry.
Is the viewership for F1 and like motorsport crazy?
Globally,
Like,
yes.
Globally? Yeah. Okay.
So Formula One it's based in Europe, but it's international. Like
Yeah.
they race all around the world, and so they have the most eyes for sure.
Really?
But like there's other like NASCAR, IndyCar, like IMSA, which is like an endurance championship. Like those are pretty much stuck in the U.S. So their viewership is pretty limited to the U.S. And I think that they're starting to realize like they're not going to get bigger unless they expand.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so a big part of the conversations that they're having with their own networks is how do we make it possible for international people to watch? Like IndyCar is great because you can buy like I think now they're trying to work it out so you can like wherever you are you can get like a subscription to watch. Whereas F1 has F1 TV, so wherever you are you pay yearly or monthly and you can
Right.
watch it. And so unfortunately some sports don't have that, or some series don't have that, or some are just limited to like streaming on YouTube, which like we've seen before. So
Yeah.
F1 has its advantages being so global, but
But that was the point of Drive to Survive, the
Yeah.
Netflix documentary, was like nobody in North America,
No.
no, Mexicans do watch Formula One. The States and Canada, no one was watching Formula One.
Sure.
It was a dying sport. And I mean, even in Europe, it was like a rich white man sport. And they needed Drive to Survive. They needed to do something to like replenish their audience because their audience was getting older and no one was watching again. So Drive to Survive, its purpose was to bring over a Western younger audience, and they did that. But by doing that, they also, in the places that they already were big, they included their younger audience, their youth, and their females, and they just made it more inclusive for everybody. So that was the purpose of that documentary. And every Netflix documentary that you see now is using the Drive to Survive model. They'll all say that. Breakpoint, which is about tennis, Full Swing, which is about golf. There's now a polo one and a rugby one, and these more obscure sports, or like that are not as popular globally, are using this model just to try to get a little bit of success that Drive to Survive saw with Formula One, because it was astronomical.
So what's the model? What's the model? Just
It's like a reality show.
Yeah.
okay.
Like,
And it's dramatized.
It's
for
definitely
sure.
dramatized.
They'll cut parts from a race and like audio from a different race, and like it's some of it is, I'd say, like half it's fake, but
Okay.
it
gets you
in.
hooked.
Like
It
it
gets
gets
you
you
hooked.
hooked, and then you say what you want like about Drive to Survive, but like it worked. Like
Yeah, it
people got into it, and then IndyCar did this thing like 100 days to Indy, like 100 days to the Indy 500. So that was like a mini docu-series that they had on the CW, which was great, but that audience is still very limited to North America. Like they needed to get it out globally, and I think they failed with that.
yeah.
That's so cool.
So if you guys had a dream goal with this podcast or in the motorsport world, what would that dream be? Like, when would you say I'm done? Like, I'm retiring?
I don't know. I never actually thought about that.
Yeah, because we've gotten everything that we have to this point by like just taking it day by day. So we've done a really good job, I think, for ourselves of not like getting our hopes too high or like setting unrealistic expectations, because everything that we've got from the podcast has just happened organically. And I don't think that we've like set those expectations. But like for me, I think it would be for us to work alongside a Formula One team, which like is in the works this year. Like it could
crazy.
happen.
Yeah.
And be more prominent figures in the paddock, and maybe like, I don't know, I don't think I'd ever want to be on TV, to be honest, but
You don't want to be on TV? I would love to be on
but like content creation, well, we were in 100 Days to Indy.
We had a snippet of us watching a race.
But I think for me, like, I went back to like my dream would be like content creation for multiple sports.
Nice.
Because my knowledge is not limited to motorsports, so I don't know.
I don't know, like kind of said it pretty good. Like we've worked for everything that has come to us. Like we set the goals for ourselves and like we work towards them. So it doesn't mean that there's an end goal. It just means like we're just gonna find a new goal. I don't
Never satisfied. Always push for the next thing.
Hey,
satisfied.
Game's not
we're in
finished.
the same.
Game's not finished.
Would you guys want to drive? Like, was that ever a thought that came out?
I literally never ever wanted to.
You've
get-
never wanted to like
Well,
compete?
When we were in Palm Springs last March, they put us in a 2-seater Indy car.
Okay.
And that, so they took us on like the track, and it was a minute and a half
About that, yeah.
about that for like our
50,
drive, yeah. And we were with like a professional driver, and I definitely could not do it because my head was like this side of the car, then this side of the car, and then
Ooh.
you're back, and then you're forward, and I'm like, whoa, where am I? I got out of the car and I was like, I feel like I'm drunk right now. Like the adrenaline, and like I just was so woozy. I'm like, never again. But I loved it. I would do it again, but I wouldn't want to drive like
Yes.
50
Over it.
laps on
Yeah.
the track.
Like
Yeah.
the professional drivers, like a lot of time they grew up like karting and then they move up.
Move
in,
up,
like, the
yeah.
series, and so we've go-karted a few times.
I
Which is
hosted
super
a
fun.
hand pre, which is a birthday go-kart extravaganza.
We gotta go. We definitely gotta go.
And like
That'd be so sick.
we get competitive for that, but I don't even like driving my car. Like do not put me on a racetrack and like go. Like,
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Those guys are pretty strong next to you.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, they're
Yeah.
huge. Like
That's what they have to work out, like for the most part,
Next.
because that's yeah.
Yeah.
if I tried doing a neck workout, I think my head would just
It's so hard. I never like when we were in that car and we felt like the G-force. That was the first time where I was like, I get it. I understand why their necks have to be so strong to do this for 2 hours straight. Like
Yeah.
it was wild.
Amber said she like lost like 10 pounds every time she like got out of the
It's like it's you're working out for 2 hours
Straight,
straight. and
yeah.
It's so heavy on the body, and like you're like it's hot in the car, right? So
Yeah.
you're sweating and saying like
can't even listen to music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't even can't hook up
You're
the
engineer in your ear, and that's it.
can't even hook up the car
So
play.
it's common for drivers to lose quite a bit of weight, and
Yeah.
there's
They weigh in before the race and then after to see how much water weight you lost.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Even the steering,
Yeah.
it feels like there's no power steering in the car.
So there's power steering in Formula One. There isn't in IndyCar.
Yeah.
So it's definitely more of an arm workout for IndyCar drivers. But Formula One, they have that advantage. Which is nice. It's still difficult,
Sure.
but it's different series.
Do you guys have a favorite in terms of like series or style of racing that like gravitates towards you, and what are those things that gravitate to?
Yeah, so I think, well, oval racing really got me hooked last year, but Formula One is still my favorite series. It's still, for me, like the pinnacle. IndyCar is growing a lot. I do like watching IndyCar, but I do feel like there is tweaking that needs to be done with that series. Like, I think, I don't know, I think it needs to be more about driver talent and less about money, because they don't get the global viewership. It is so sponsorship heavy, and the drivers that are sometimes in the series are like, they're so bad.
Gotcha.
So I still like Formula One, but long oval racing is so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm pretty split. Like, I love Formula One,
Yeah,
I love
both.
IndyCar, and we try to get into other series too. So there's like Formula E, like electric racing, and like I mentioned, the endurance racing. So we dip our toes in that when we can, and it is like we learn what we can, just because we know there's so much more than Formula One and IndyCar, and we want our audience to know that there's so much more than Formula One and IndyCar. But I like those. I definitely like. I can. Those two will always be my favorite. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would love to see you guys make content on the sideline of like a rally race.
Rally is so
Rally's
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, I would love to do rally. Well, did you meet any of the rally drivers when you were in Charlotte? Did you meet Carlos?
I did not meet Carlos,
No.
But I met his teammate briefly.
Okay.
He said hi.
They're
and
like a
walked away.
different breed of driver.
It's insane.
Yeah. They're not like the Formula One, like buttoned up, media trained like
They will
driver.
do whatever they want.
They're cool.
Do you guys have any advice for the female audience, whether they're trying to get into sports or they're trying to chase their passion? Do you guys have any advice that you could leave them off with?
Doesn't matter what people say on the internet. Like, truly, if you like it, just keep watching it. It doesn't matter why you like it. If you watch it because you'll get a glimpse of a driver for 2 seconds, like, by all means, at least you're still watching it. I think, like, just as a female fan, like, no one should tell you that you shouldn't, like, don't listen to people when they say, like, you shouldn't be a fan or you don't know what you're talking about. And then for females, like, content creators or people in the industry, like, I just keep doing like whatever you're doing. Like, you're here, it's working. So I don't know. It's just
There's a niche. I struggle still with this. I still don't put out a lot of like what I'm probably the most educated on hockey of all the sports that I watch, and I don't post a lot about hockey because I do sometimes still worry, like, you know, I don't know. I don't even know why. I don't know why I worry about what I post, but I still struggle a little bit with that. That my knowledge is not valid because I'm a female or because I never actually played hockey, because I've just watched it for my entire life. But I'm looking for advice, actually. I think for motorsports specifically, we have sought it out. There's a niche there, and it's not actually that niche. There is a big community of females that are looking for to be educated, to be validated, to be able to feel like they're part of something. And we're here and we're welcoming, and all the female content creators, they're the same. We've never had like competition between us. We're all super welcoming, and we all do different things, and everyone's got their niche and everyone has their place. And I think that was something I learned this past year, was like, yes, we may be one of however many female-led Formula One podcasts, but we have our niche and we belong in this space because, you know, even if it's just because we're Canadians and most are European or American, like we deserve to be here, and, you know, we're working for it.
Yeah. Well, you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod. Guys, if you haven't already, if you're looking to get into Formula One or motorsports in general, or if you just like what you heard, please check out their podcast. We'll tag them in the description. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Peace.
Peace.
Good job for now.
Good job.
For now. Good job for now.
Let's go.